we think that acceptance looks like everything will be better, when in actuality, it is seeing a person as they are and knowing that you are powerless to change it.
Yeah.
So this is my mother. This is my mother and father. This is my sibling. You can want something to be different until the end of time, but this is the situation. Given the situation I have, what do I want to do about it? Often we want the other person to do something about it. The person who has exhibited, all of these things, we're like, why don't you get sober? Why don't you start being more nurturing? You don't call me more often. You're not doing this. I had a game and you did. It's like the acceptance of that is this person is whatever this thing is. How do I be in this relationship with them or choose not to be in this relationship with them? How do I create closeness? How do I create distance? What can I do to change this situation? Because we're often trying to change people who aren't interested in changing. They aren't going to therapy. They aren't reading these books. It's like you getting the enlightenment and being like, oh, they need to change now that I know this term for them. It's like they're a gaslighter. They must change. It's like, they're not reading that book. You're reading the book.
And maybe they don't want to change.
They don't want to change. They're fine with their behavior. So what will you do when, they continue to do these things?
Acceptance and boundaries is what it sounds like, right? I remember for years, I just used to be kind of frustrated with my mom when I was like an adult, after 21, let's say. It took me a while to become an adult, but I'd say after 21, right? I get frustrated with her because I felt like she kept treating me like a child, right? And I didn't like that feeling, and I wanted her to change. And I don't know, 10, 15 years went by, she didn't change. And I expressed my frustrations and all these things, didn't change, right? She looked at me as her little baby, even though I was a grown man at the time. And it was frustrating. And I had to learn to accept her. And it wasn't until maybe like 5 years ago where I fully had like acceptance of my mom, like this is who she is. It's not going to change, but I can create boundaries and, make sure I set a boundary for myself so it doesn't affect me as much and just love her for who she is. And it's been a beautiful experience for me. I feel a lot more joy thinking about my mom, knowing that this is the way she is, and it's okay as long as I put boundaries in place. So, but why do you think it's so hard for us to accept the people we love the most?
Because we would rather put the duty of doing the work on others. In the situation you just described with your mother, if she would have changed when you were 21, the easiness.
So much easier, right?
So much easier. But if you had to place a boundary, the work you had to do. Oh my gosh. We get so upset at people for making us. Why are they emailing me on vacation? Because you're responding. How do you stop responding? The work that we have to do in our relationships with people, it's almost like we get upset with them for making us do the work when really they're just being themselves.
Yes.
If you don't want to be treated like a child, how do you become more of an adult?
Create boundaries.
You create those boundaries. So when your mom is like, tell me about your girlfriend, you're like, I don't want to talk about it. And then your mom is like, oh, he doesn't have to tell me everything anymore. So it's you doing that work. Your mom can always ask, and you can always place that boundary.
Exactly. Just say, I don't want to talk about it right now, Mom. Let's talk about something else or whatever.
And I need you to wash my clothes.
Right.
I don't need you to figure out what I'm doing with you have to be the person to say that because your mom is operating in the capacity that she knows.
Absolutely, yeah. That's beautiful. What else do you think people get wrong about family dynamics? Siblings, parents, kids, and what else do we need to know about this?
One of the things we get wrong is that if we are honest about what the relationship is, that we will lose our love for the person.
Can you give me an example?
If I say my mother was unkind, that means I don't love her. No, that doesn't mean you don't love her. It just means she was unkind, maybe sometimes, maybe all the time. I don't know, but you could still love people who do things to you or who cause you to feel a certain way. And sometimes we don't know that. We think if we say anything bad about someone, it means that we don't love them, that we're betraying them. And both of those things can exist. You know, when I find people talking about their parents, they will say all of these nice qualities because they're trying to make them not seem like a bad person. When we talk about our partners, we'll say, you know, I really love this person. They've been there for me. They always listen to me. And then, you know, like we are trying to say, I really love them. And I don't want to say anything bad about them. And we don't have to protect the truth. We don't have to protect the person from everything that we feel about them. One thing we've been practicing in our house, I have 2 daughters, and they are at that age where they bicker all the time. And, oh, she's annoying. And I say, everyone in this house is annoying. You, your sister, your dad, the dog, the TV sometimes is too loud. This is normal in relationships. We're not going to always get it right. And if we have an expectation of perfection in a relationship, sometimes I'm going to say the wrong thing. And I want you to be able to, you know what? Sometimes you say the wrong thing. Sometimes you're unkind. Sometimes you annoy me. Sometimes that happens in relationships. And we should be able to talk about the totality of the relationship, not just the good parts. And, you know, they're really amazing in these ways. But, you know, I felt neglected when. That really hurt when you said, I wish you would have done more of. Those are also things we should say. It's not all about all of the things going well all the time. A normal part of relationships is having some sort of conflict. We can't watch a movie without a little bit of conflict. I mean, who wants it? Yeah, even a good old rom-com. You need that conflict.
You need it.
Yeah, so it's a part of being in relationship that it doesn't have to be perfect to exist. We can talk about all parts of it. It doesn't mean that the relationship is bad or we don't want to be in it. It just means that we're being honest.